Hi, my name is Griffin Bridgers. It's my pleasure to bring you the 12 days of estate planning. On day one, my true love gave to me access as an account delegate for utility accounts. When someone passes, keeping the lights on, the water running, the gas running, and even internet running is of paramount importance. So, while it is possible to have account passwords left for a loved one, it can be doubly impactful to name them as an account delegate. That way they can get quick and easy access to utility accounts if they're living in your house and need that info to indeed keep the house running. On day two, my true love gave to me a treasure map to accounts and documents, including any employee benefits to which I may be entitled. It's rare to have paper statements anymore. Often loved ones are left in a lurch to determine what accounts you have, what policies you have in terms of life insurance, whether it's personally owned or held by an employer, and even other types of assets like 401ks and investments and business interests can fly under the radar. So having a comprehensive treasure map of what those assets are, what the account numbers are, and in a secure manner, what the passwords and access might be, can be extremely helpful in a death or incapacity situation. On the third day, my true love gave to me information on the house that is needed to maintain ownership, such as mortgage info, insurance info, and even escrow and property tax info. In other words, are mortgage payments being auto-drafted from an account? And what happens when that account is switched over as part of the estate settlement and probate process? Who takes over that mortgage, and where does insurance get paid, and where does property tax get paid, whether through an escrow through the mortgage company or through individual contributions? Having access to that information can be paramount in making sure that the house does not fall into foreclosure. On the fourth day, my true love gave to me easily accessible cash. Traditionally, in business settings, petty cash was important to keep around so that in a bind, the business had quickly accessible cash to pay at least short-term debts as they came due. Once someone passes or becomes incapacitated, having a similarly easily accessible source of cash can be paramount to help loved ones to have money to live off of without having to rely on the probate process or even the conservatorship process to get quick access to that cash. On the fifth day, my true love gave to me digital or analog information on passwords and other relevant account information. Now, it's not always possible for anybody to just log into your accounts. So keeping this information restricted to the right people under your estate plan is important. But we have tons of passwords out there. And often those passwords live right here in our head, along with the username or login credentials we use to access certain online accounts. Getting head knowledge onto paper in terms of your individual affairs is paramount to make sure that loved ones can continue to operate things the way you have in the event of death or incapacity. On the sixth day, my true love gave to me a flowchart for their estate plan. Now, note that I'm not saying documents here. Even if you don't have wills or other estate planning documents in place, having a flowchart is important because it's possible you could have many wills, and it's possible that your estate could flow under the state intestacy statutes. So at the bare minimum, before you even do documents, any attorney or financial advisor should be able to provide you with a flowchart of where your assets go. It can be a simple written document, or it could be something as fancy as this Sankey chart that I have shown here that anybody should be able to prepare as well if they have a little bit of tech knowledge. But not only just knowing what assets you have, but where they might go is important. I also want to note that even if you have documents, there are several assets that might override the terms of your estate plan. This could be by operation of law based on the title of assets. For example, joint tenancy and community property might automatically pass to a survivor or joint owner. It could also be by beneficiary designation, especially for life insurance and retirement accounts. It could also be by a POD or TOD designation for cash and investment accounts. So, knowing what those are and how they affect your estate plan is important to have in terms of knowing the flow of your estate plan. On the seventh day, my true love gave to me a list of responsible parties under their estate plan. So, if something happens, who should you contact and who is responsible? This could include the fiduciaries named under your plan, like agents under powers of attorney, or executors under a will, and successor trustees under a trust. It could also include the advisors and attorneys who assist you and have access to some of the information I've alluded to in the prior days of estate planning in this video. On the eighth day, my true love gave to me an operation manual for their estate and any trusts and business interests they might have in place. It's one thing to have a will or a trust document, but it's important to note that those types of documents and also operating documents for businesses are usually written for an audience of other attorneys or judges or even other trust professionals. They're often not written for the lay audience. So, simplifying those down to an operations manual to know what steps need to be taken by whom and when can be important for the quick and efficient settlement of your affairs in the event of death or incapacity. On the ninth day, my true love gave to me a letter of instructions or an ethical will. Your story does not end. There are several ways you can maintain that story, whether in a digital or analog environment. Letters to loved ones, letters in general to express your wishes, desires, concerns, and values, instructions as to how exactly you want your funeral and memorial to take place, and what you want to be remembered for, and even stories and video that you store for loved ones can be a valuable way to carry on your legacy and tell the story of who you are and what impact you had and wished you had had on the world. On the 10th day, my true love gave to me a list of healthcare wishes and a HIPAA authorization. Now, you can have medical durable powers of attorney and possibly a living will, but there's information beyond that that's vital. Access to your medical records, and even information about drug allergies, prescriptions, health concerns, conditions that might not have been diagnosed, and other things can be extremely important to allow those who are rendering healthcare assistance to know who you are and what your status is. That way, there's no wrong steps taken, and your agent is able to provide informed consent on your behalf. On the 11th day, my true love gave to me information about their employer and their job and what information they have in their head that needs to be provided to their employer. If something happens to you in the event of incapacity or death or hospitalization, your employer or your business can be left in a lurch. It's not just your personal knowledge that needs to be left, it's also your job-related knowledge that can be extremely helpful. So shoring that up with a short document to provide to your employer in terms of where important documents might be saved, what passwords might be relevant if your IT department hasn't stored those, and other important aspects of your job that someone needs to know in order to take over and thrive in that position can be an extremely important value add. And in the event of incapacity or hospitalization, can help make sure that your job is still there if and when you recover. And finally, on the 12th day, my true love gave to me an inventory of their digital assets, keys, and access. We talked about passwords and accounts earlier, but we live in an increasingly digital world where, for example, cryptocurrency and other items can form a part of our wealth. Those might be in cold storage on our computer or stored through a custodian like Coinbase. Similarly, we could have other important heirloom assets, digital photos, songs and videos for which we have a license and a digital access, but no DVD or physical copy. And even some of our cloud-based data, such as computer files, writings, storage, and even job-related or business-related information. So having access to that information quickly that lives in a digital realm can be paramount to an effective estate plan. Hope you enjoyed these 12 days of estate planning. As you can gather, doing all of this in 12 days would be quite overwhelming. But the good news is we're coming up on 2024 and you have 12 months. And it's no coincidence that 12 days and 12 months correlate. So my challenge to you is to encourage your clients or to push yourself to accomplish one of these tasks per month in 2024. If you follow these steps during 2024, at the end of the year, you'll have an estate plan that's in the top 1%. So following these steps, I challenge you to be an estate planning 1%er. And as you'll note, in this presentation, I didn't mention legal documents. Legal documents are important, but there's a lot outside of legal documents that can be accomplished. And if you need assistance with any of these steps, your attorney or financial advisor should be able to assist you. But thank you for listening. I wish you and yours happy holidays,